Hey there, YouTube. A few days ago, I put up a video about SIG, losing in court. Finally, I did use that word. It did seem like a long time coming that there would be a loss in court for the pistols. That didn't really shock me. There's a lot of comments on it. I sorted it by the top comments. Let's go through the comments and talk about it because I think some of them are interesting. All right. First one, this is the top comment on here. Preponderance of the evidence is the burden the plaintiff had to meet for his civil jury trial, meaning the jury found that his evidence showed, more likely than not, that SIG's negligent design of the P320 caused it to go off without him pulling the trigger. Their decision as a federal civil jury would likely have been unanimous, so 12 people found that the guy's evidence showed SIG was at fault by 51%. Without attending the trial or talking to the jurors afterwards, it's hard to gauge how potent his case was, aside from the holster and the gun failing to cycle described in the complaint. But I would feel warm under the collar if I was SIG's insurance carrier. Yeah, that sounds about right. SIG will start motions for the court to set aside the verdict or to order a new trial next. After that, an appeal could come down the pipeline. But we shall see how much they puff their chest and keep saying no one has proven it. Next comment. The biggest issue I now have is they're pointing the finger at Safariland and saying that their holsters are the problem and that you should go with alien gear for your holster. How do I know this? The SIG LE rep stated it to me in my office when trying to sell me the 320. Really, instead of admitting there's a problem with your product, they point the finger at the holster maker. They'll just keep getting sued and try to settle these suits out of court by getting people to sign non-disclosures attached to checks to keep them quiet. So first, I in this case that went badly for SIG in court, I think it was a concealed carry situation, was my understanding. I don't know this, but just the way that it read to me and like where it says the bullet went in and out. I think it was a concealed. I don't believe it was a Safariland holster. Now, I've heard a lot of discussion of the Safariland holsters combined with the SIG 320s like in other cases, and maybe that has something to do with... See, this is what I mean. It's hard to sort out what's true, right? A lot of guys think this is related to how fat the trigger is or whatever, and there was later a trigger shoe redesign that was thinner or something, so maybe the trigger was so thick that was a problem with the Safariland holsters in that combination. I don't know. But I don't believe it was a Safariland holster in this specific case. I don't think so. Okay, next comment. If SIG really did fix the problem, they can't say so, or they'd be admitting there was a design flaw. Tough situation. Well, yeah, it'd be way tougher short term, and then long term probably better for them. I mean, maybe at this point the ship sailed. Next comment. It doesn't seem like the 320 was a well-engineered pistol. It was originally a hammer-fired design that nobody liked and was morphed into a striker gun. And was designed from the ground up to be what it is. The article claims lack of trigger safety is dangerous or defective feature, but the P365 doesn't have one, and I bet you more folks carry some form of P365 versus P320. Where are all the P365 lawsuits? Something isn't right here. It's like, the 365 has a much different reputation to the 320, that's for sure. After carrying a 320 at work and having a personal one, shooting thousands of rounds a year through both, they miraculously only fire when the trigger is pulled. That has been my personal experience with the 320s. I haven't had one go off in the holster on me yet. Doesn't mean it hasn't happened to other people, though. Next comment. Your Staccato is a safer pistol than a SIG 320. I don't know, maybe. In some respects, maybe. Well, they did fix it, so to speak. A few people brought this up. One was an armor or gunsmith. I need to see if I can find the exact post. The post showed 320 slides from different years that had multiple internal design changes that wasn't publicly announced. So multiple changes were made to the guns throughout the years relating to how the internals function. A few companies also have pictures on their websites for when you get a non-optic ready slide to be milled, and there's some interactions they won't touch. Yes, this is my understanding as well. And I don't know... I wouldn't even say that all of these changes are related to some type of a safety issue or something like that. I think that the SIG 320s there's things subtly change over the years, and it's kind of difficult to suss that out. I don't know why. It's not like a clean, like, Generation 2 type of thing or Generation 3. I think things just change, and I'm not an expert on the SIGs, so I don't pay much attention to that shit. When it gets that complicated, I just pass my gun off to someone else and have them fix it. Anyway, next comment. A friend of mine had his go off in his holster and it hit his knife. Bullets skipped off the knife and left a big bruise. If you search Gungus P320, you will find his video called "My P320 Tried to Shoot Me." I personally know the guy, so it's kind of close to home. 100% SIG fixed whatever the problem was, but if there was any internal communications about this, they would have been subpoenaed, included discovery during the trial. I have not read the case, anything like that, though. Okay. That's interesting. I don't know if that's true what that guy posted, but you never know. Next comment. If SIG is appealing based on lack of evidence, they're in for a tough time. The appellate court is not going to reweigh the trial testimony and evidence. Okay? I don't know about that. Next one. It sounds right, but I'm not a lawyer. Next one. I think it's funny how Serpa holsters, which have caused very few injuries through what everyone knows is improper use, granted caused by a design that lends itself to improper use, are shunned in many areas of the firearms world, and yet SIG's P320 design is defended so vehemently by its supporters, even though it has injured far more people and may be through an actual fault of the gun. It's such a double standard when a brand is deemed too sacred for criticism. Well, I'll say this, there's not like well-informed people and really good shooters, by and large, that are like, oh yeah, the Serpa holster, that's the one. But in fairness, there are people that do quite well with the 320s, and there's informed people that like them, and they're issued at different places, so people are going to be more defensive of it, for sure. Whereas I don't think the Serpa caught on too much. I didn't see a lot of Serpas back in the day. Those are pretty much for people that didn't use their guns a whole lot. And then once they started training with the Serpa, they'd be like, usually they didn't like it that much. Let's go with another one. Next one. Bought a recent manufactured P320 this year. Cool. I love how it shoots, but the lack of blade safety does put me off a bit. I won't consider carrying it until there's a blade safety, but I think SIG should simply just add a grip or blade safety stock and lean in a little more into the P226, 229 series. All right. I guess. Let's take one more comment. Why the SIG hate? The P365 is a great gun. Hell, you don't need all 10 toes anyway. I think there is SIG hate because a lot of people I don't fucking hate the company or whatever, but I definitely notice wow, they've got all these sort of contracts and they're supplying guns and equipment to all kinds of different agencies and institutions, and it just seems kind of fast, all of the sudden. So you just see, when you see that, you're just like, is there some kind of shenanigans going on here? Is this a good company? That kind of stuff. I think they get some hate that way for sure. For sure. Anyway, it's interesting to see the comments from this. I'm not sure what's going to happen in the future, but I'll definitely be paying attention.